This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Well, joining us today is Andrew Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources. Thank you for joining us today, Andrew. How are you?
I'm very well.
Good. Now, I know you were in the DRC recently, so let's start by getting a bit of an update on how things are going, of course, with that arbitration situation in the DRC. What did you learn from your visit? Has it progressed? When can you perhaps expect it to come to a conclusion?
Yes, I think in relation to both the DRC and in relation to gold in Burkina Faso, we have been updating more or less monthly. So, to the end of February, end of January, and so on, and in December. And we told people in the case of DRC we would do regular updates. So I'm aware that another update is actually about due, and we'll be putting something out. If there was something that was inconsistent with what we previously said, or with new market news, then I think I wouldn't be able to tell you. But what I can tell you is that the trip that took place just recently, I think was positive in that everything that we said and have been saying about how we expect that to be an imminent solution remains true. I don't think the difficulties arise in relation to what we are due and what we should get. I think there are some ancillary issues relating to other parties. After all, when we had this VUP joint venture, we weren't the only party involved in it. And I think that some of the issues to do with that have become clarified. And my understanding is that there is a sufficient consensus that we could expect something to happen very quickly. But if it were just our 50.1% that we were claiming that was at issue, then I think my understanding is everybody agrees to that, and that should not be an obstacle. The issues are other. And I think the trip that we just had out there was helpful in enabling us to speak to a wide range of people, some in contexts that we hadn't been able to have before, and therefore get to an understanding. And I have also to pay tribute to our geologist out there, who is a pastor in his spare time, who had a lot of very lengthy meetings where he exercised his pastor skills in listening to everybody. So we'll see, but I think everything is on track.
Okay, good, because I guess there's two perhaps elements of this. There's first of all the internal discussions that have got to be had to the parties agree to, then money can change hands. So I guess that is the one hurdle you've got to overcome. But the second hurdle is it's quite difficult, isn't it, to get money out of Africa? So I mean...
Well, I think actually because Congo exports so much, they have an interest in relatively free movement of capital. They export a lot of commodities, so it's not as if they don't have natural inflows. So one should be able to get money out.
Okay.
Yes, you're quite right in saying there's two aspects. So far as the first aspect is concerned, the state mining company, Gécamines, represented through its legal counsel, stood up at the first meeting of the arbitration and undertook on behalf of Gécamines that they would pay and pay promptly in accordance with the results of the arbitration. So that is the easy part, I think. As you say, getting the money out of the country, we will take advice on how to do that, and I think we know how it can be done. And we'll obviously try to redeploy some of that straight away. But once it's there, we've done the major part of what happens. Worst case is you're paying or withholding taxes.
Okay. I mean, what is actually being done at the moment, just to finish off on this, in terms of what perhaps needs to be done, and is there any way that you can expedite the process?
No, apart from the daily telephone calls I already have, there's nothing to be done to expedite the process. In fact, we just at the moment are having to stop other people interfering in the process by saying, we can solve this for you, we can do it. And it's true, because at this stage, you don't need to be a genius. It's not terribly difficult to solve it. But I think we'll just carry on the way we are.
Okay, well, thank you for that update. Let's see how things progress again as we go down the time here. Let's talk a bit about some of the gold projects then in the company's portfolio, because of course gold price doing very well recently. And I know you have the Kenya project. You've of course got Red Rock Resources Australasia, which you recently took over from Power Metal Resources, and Burkina Faso as well, which is a gold project. So I mean, perhaps let's go through them and see which one is taking your attention at the moment, which one will be seeing some activity.
Okay, fair enough. We're in the license renewal stage in Kenya, so during that is nothing we can do. Of course, there is a 700,000-800,000 ounce there resource already, which is JORC 2012 resource. In Australia, we have that agreement, as you say, with POW. So we're in the due diligence period. We're waiting for a report that we commissioned, which in effect is an update of the competent persons report when we were looking at listing this earlier. And that, I think, I hope will have some sort of value if we get attached. We were meant to be getting first draft of that on the 19th, and then the final version on the 25th. Held up a few days because getting the reviewer sign-off on it has taken it over Easter, but I wouldn't expect it to take too much longer. And at that stage, we can take a view on how things go. But I think our timing of signing this was pretty good in relation to the gold price. And historically, and it may be just coincidence, but Red Rock has always outperformed a rising gold market. When I say rising gold market, I mean when gold stocks are rising. And I hope it's going to be the same this time, because we are quite active. But if we're not able to do anything immediately during this kind of due diligence period with Australia, and we have to wait for the license renewal in Kenya, we have something which is very immediate, which we have been drawing attention to month after month, wearisome length, which is the Burkina Faso alluvial gold production. And we have people on the ground there advancing that project.
And when you say you have people on the ground advancing the project, what are they doing? When would you hope to be getting into some form of revenue from that project?
Yeah, I mean, our last announcement, and announcements, I should say, but in particular our last one, said that we had people sending equipment there. People we're working with sending equipment, which they can provide. And then we have got some people there. They put in some money. And we are going to do things like preparing ponds, setting up gold treatment units, and doing all the other things in order to start washing gold and getting alluvial gold. And we were suggesting, I think it was very clear in our announcements, that this was going to be something that would be a matter of weeks, not months.
Okay. So
we expect
when would you expect?
Permanent representation on the ground from here. I mean, before our team went out there, we had to get someone there to get rid of the illegal and alluvial miners who had established a presence. Some of them came in quite recently and were being quite active because you can go in and start an alluvial operation very quickly. As people in the listed company arena don't really know that, because listed companies, on the whole, don't get involved so much in alluvial projects, partly because it's too easy for people to come in and steal, and you've got local people doing it, and all kinds of things like that. So people are used being the case is, as soon as somebody gets a mining operation underway or get permissions for it, the government is extremely helpful, moves everybody out, if necessary, diverts the road. So everybody there knows if they're coming in and producing or doing something on your license, but the moment the master arrives, they have to move out. And so when we move these people out, we got the gendarmerie along, we moved them out, They didn't come back. They just left all their equipment. That's it. And I think we take that equipment and everything because we can offset it against the value of the gold they've stolen. But we have the government behind us. The government makes it easy for people to go in and do mining operations. So even with something like this, we're not going to have problems with local people. In many countries that are more, I would say, democratic in Africa, you have a lot of local politics and things like that that create complications when you try to do this. But if there's a country that's doing an alluvial mining operation like this should be good in, it is Burkina Faso. And we have people who have experience. And of course, as we've shown in our announcements over a period, we have good grades.
Okay, so the illegals have been moved out. You've taken over their equipment that they've left behind, and when would you want to be getting into?
Of course, that's only very small because their stuff is quite undersized. But we have a lot of equipment that we expect to be coming in, and it really is a question of how long it takes to get there. We have a team of people, we're occupying properties there. We're getting additional properties set up to receive the team because we'll have a number of people operating there as we go. And I think, in our recent announcements and in our PowerPoints, all this is sort of laid out. People are naturally skeptical, first because it seems to be happening very quickly, and secondly because they wonder, is it so easy? Can they trust us to bring something into production? Well, I think the answers to that are we've got a perfect set of circumstances. I think the very fact that at the moment it's difficult to raise foreign capital for Burkina Faso for large-scale underground mining means that everyone is very happy to see us do something that doesn't have a very high capital commitment and that gets gold being produced straight away. Good for the government, good for everybody, and good to show that you can do business there. So people should pay attention to the fact that we make these announcements, that we say that what we're going to do, then we're doing it. We have the right people there, and we can expect to be producing good grade gold. Obviously, when some of our team come back here, they're going to write a report, which will then enable us to have an RNS with a lot of technical data in it. But at the moment, they're busy all day in the field, and in the afternoon, the temperature reaches 42, 43 degrees at the moment. And that's quite innovating. And so you can't easily go home and with not perfect communications, write up reports. So that'll wait a few days. But in terms of what they're seeing on the ground and what our assumptions are about grades and so on, it's very good. It's in line with what we were saying and expecting earlier.
Okay, excellent. So we can wait to see that report at some point and see some numbers there and what might be expected to come. Just finishing off, Andrew, if we can, on Zimbabwe and the lithium. I know that was something you talked about getting into very easy, kind of moving of the ore there and exporting it out. But what's going on? I think you were kind of holding back a little bit on the spodumene price, but again, that's been doing quite well recently.
It's recovering a bit. It's not recovered as much as we want.
Okay.
And also, with a limited team, we want to focus on what is going to make most money most quickly. And, in mining, the big markets are always iron ore and gold. And, following on behind iron ore, you can say, yeah, there's manganese, which is pretty good. But when you've dealt with those, and maybe if we're coal, obviously, so iron ore, coal, a bit of manganese, gold, manganese sort of follows on because it goes into the iron ore market. But when you've dealt with these, if you're exceptionally generous, you look at the copper market. But everything else is a rounding error. It's small. These are the big markets. And it's much easier to develop projects and sell in big markets. I mean, the gold market. You develop something, you're a price taker, not a price maker. The infrastructure is very easy for getting the gold out and selling it. And the gold market is strong at the moment. So we have an opportunity. All of our efforts are going to be devoted to Burkina Faso.
Okay.
And we will trade out our lithium as and when the price looks good, and then we can build that up again. But since some of the same people are involved, because our team in Burkina Faso includes some people from Southern Africa, because they have the expertise at gold mining, and in fact, over the last decades, in developing mines, including mines of this type for private or public companies in West Africa. So we would rather they were doing that, which is the highest and best use of their skills, very, very short term, than trying to enlarge our lithium. And so, yes, that's it. That's the story. You can only do one thing really well at a time if you're a small company like us. And at the moment, that's gold.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time and giving us that update today. Andrew Bell, the CEO there of Red Rock Resources.
Okay, thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.